In this video, I'll be sharing 5 things I wish I knew about the Philippines before moving here. I've been living in the Philippines for over 9 months now, and if you followed my channel, you'll know I love my life here. But like everywhere, it has its ups and downs, and in this video I'll be sharing some things I've learned about living in the Philippines as a foreigner. Whether you're dreaming of moving here or just curious about life in this vibrant country, hopefully you'll find these useful. As always, all of these are my own opinion based from my own experiences. Keep in mind that I live in Makati in Metro Manila, not in a province, but I have travelled a fair bit. Let's start with the weather. A lot of people say the heat is unbearable and during rainy season it just rains constantly, but I really haven't found this to be the case. Here's my take. February to May, sure, it's hot, but it's also the perfect time for short beach holidays and milkshakes by the sea. As for the rainy season, it's more like nature's dramatic show, intense but short-lived. I've also certainly never noticed a period where it was raining for days on end. There is a bit of a culture difference here where I've been told many times that walking in the rain will make you sick afterwards, but I actually quite enjoy walking in the rain. It's relaxing, and I don't think it's ever made me sick. Overall, before I moved here I was dreading the unbearable summer heat followed by months of non-stop rain, but the weather's been a lot better than I was expecting. Just a disclaimer here, I am from Scotland and we are infamous for our cold, rainy weather. On average in the Philippines it rains on 144 days of the year, whereas in Scotland on average it rains 265 days of the year. My home country literally gets over 100 more days of rainfall than the Philippines. As someone that would rather be too hot than too cold, the Philippines weather feels like a sunny embrace. Next, let's talk about a more well-known negative side of Philippines culture, Filipino time. For those that don't know, Filipino time is basically the concept that even when you set a time to meet someone or somewhere at a certain time, for some reason in the Philippines it's perfectly acceptable to turn up an hour or two late, and this isn't seen as a problem. In fact, it's normally laughed off. Picture this. You set a meeting for 7 PM and your friend strolls in at 9 PM, all smiles. Back in the UK, that's a no-go, but here, it's part of the culture. I find this quite difficult to get my head around, and I know most Westerners here do too. I was first introduced to Filipino time when I lived in Dubai and had lots of Filipino friends. I lost count of the number of times I agreed to meet a friend in a restaurant or bar and they'd show up an hour or two late. My friend here explained that if you say to someone meet at 8 PM, that means any time between 8 PM and 9 PM is acceptable. I still don't know why this is. I'm not saying this happens every time, but if you are a foreigner moving to the Philippines, it's just the way it is here, so don't take it personally. Something you should be aware of before moving to the Philippines is the level of poverty throughout the country. The Philippines is, after all, a third world country that has one of the highest population densities in all of Asia. Along with this is a 1.58% average annual increase in population, making it the fastest growing population in all of Southeast Asia. To put this into perspective, when we compare the USA's GDP per capita of $77,469 against the Philippines' GDP per capita of just $3,623, we realize that the average person in the Philippines has less than 5% of the wealth of the average American. It's no surprise that overpopulation and a lack of money lead to a lot of poverty in a country, and it is on display pretty much everywhere in the Philippines. If you are moving from a first world country and you've never experienced similar levels of poverty, it will certainly be an eye-opening experience, and it can be at times an emotional one. I know I've gained a massive appreciation for how lucky I am simply to be born where I was. I visit a few bars every so often, and after getting to know the staff better, I found out the average waitress in the area is on just 200 Philippine peso per 10-hour shift. Same with the bar staff, and I think the bouncers are on even less. It's definitely something to keep in mind whilst you're here. This salary of just $3.50 per day doesn't even cover some of their transport to and from work, so they actually start work by losing money. This would make no sense in the UK. Nobody would spend more to earn less, but here in the Philippines and other countries, they simply don't have a choice. As a foreigner visiting the Philippines, just keep in mind that you'll often be asked to part with small sums of your cash, and you'll need to learn when to say yes and when to say no. This could be in the form of beggars in the street, staff that are underpaid asking for a tip, or even some social connections that you make that will sooner or later message you wanting some money one way or another. It's about understanding, helping when you can, and respecting the incredible spirit of people here. As I've said in previous videos, the Filipino people, regardless of their personal situation, are some of the happiest, most pleasant people I've ever come across, and I find their resourcefulness and positive attitude both inspiring and admirable. The next thing to know about life in the Philippines is that Filipinos absolutely love food. And I don't just mean that they enjoy eating, but a big culture shock when moving here was to see that Filipinos will often ask what kind of Filipino food you enjoy as a conversation starter when meeting you. Being from the UK, if someone came up to me and said, "What's your favourite food?" you'd think they're crazy, and it's not something I can ever recall being asked when initially meeting somebody. But it's perfectly normal here and they take a lot of pride in their cuisine. I've not really met many foreigners here that particularly love the food in the Philippines, even though there are some great dishes on offer, but it's worth noting that 1, it's very normal to be discussing food right after meeting someone here, and 2, you're definitely going to make more friends by discussing your favourite Filipino dish rather than saying you don't like the cuisine. Just a note that locals will actively try to get you to try balot, an infamous local delicacy. Personally, I can't bring myself to try it, but if you fancy giving it a go, you'll likely gain some street cred. Lastly, let's talk about the cost of living. I've touched on this in previous videos, but I feel it's relevant here. Generally, my feeling is that the cost of living is more than I thought it would be. Whilst I'm definitely saving a bit more than I would be in the UK, it's not quite as much as I was expecting, and I don't think every person that comes here will be living like a king. Having said that, it must be acknowledged that I stay in one of the most expensive areas of the capital city in Manila. The Philippines does offer the option to significantly decrease your cost of living by moving to more rural province areas, and I feel it offers a far more drastic reduction than moving from a city to a town in the UK would. So if you're really after affordable cost of living, definitely get out of the city and into a province. For me, I have my own reasons for being in Manila. I enjoy my life here, so the trade-off is worth the vibrant city life. If you'd like to see a full breakdown of my monthly cost of living here in Makati, be sure to check out this video on my channel where I run through everything. I hope this video is useful to those thinking of moving to the Philippines. If you are thinking of moving, or you're already here as an expat and have more tips, leave a comment below. I read every comment I get here on YouTube, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Maraming salamat, adingat po.